Well, I've missed this guy. We've been off for a couple of weeks, and the last time we had him on, you make a little news, and then it's kind of picked up everywhere, and now we get
Yeah.
a chat again. Ladies and gentlemen, the olive skin, the glasses, just the professionalism. He would never be an undercover reporter. Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network. He's our insider. He's back. Well, he's always been here, but football season started because we got a game finally tonight. He's with us every Thursday. It's brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance, your trusted family-owned insurance experts in the Puget Sound area since 1978. Contact Jamie Hartley. Golf season's wrapping up, but he's still on the course. 253-565-8700. Also, Zogs on Fox Island. Great place to grab a cold beer, hang out with friends, watch the Thursday night game tonight, Chiefs and Ravens there at Zogs. And as the summer is winding down, enjoy it out there and find out their new times on Facebook and Instagram. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Ready to go. Football tonight. Oh, how could you not be excited?
Yeah, it's it. We've made it. We've made it through all of the shows in which you're going getting golf lessons. You're at your beach house. There's nothing really to talk about. Now there's something to talk about finally.
Yeah. We're actually going to play some games. And as I said to somebody the other day, thank God the season's here. And then week 3 into the season's going to be like, when is the season over? Just like because we're never happy. But I'm happy. No. We're the product is on the field. Everything you've been talking about for the last 6 months. Like, that's the crazy part to me is Saquon Barkley's playing his first game as a Giant or as an Eagle tomorrow. And it's like, he signed 6 months ago. Like, it sort of feels like it's all within the same time frame, and it's not. It was 6 months ago that he signed with the Eagles, and now we finally get to see it on the field. Like, it doesn't feel that far away in March, and March right now doesn't feel as far away. But then you go, it's been 6 months, so it's just. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but it makes sense in my head when it comes to putting together the calendar of our lives each year, the annual calendar. So, it's excited to see all this, and really to find out how all the stuff we've been talking about, probably most of it going to wind up being wrong, because that's how it works.
All of it's wrong.
Yeah,
that's the best part about this business. Everything you talk about, everything you break down, all the we used to always make fun on the radio show about this one. Ever you get to Friday and everyone's got their tail of the tape, keys to the game, and Jim and I would laugh our asses off like, none of it's everything you say is going to be wrong. And then the things that are obvious, everyone goes, well, thanks, I could have said that. Like, we would joke every week. We would do our tails of the tape or keys of the game. I would say, whatever offensive and defensive line win, that's who wins the game. Well, thanks. I mean, but that's it. That's like the easiest thing in football. We overcomplicate sports so much, especially football.
This game is going to be won in the trenches. Puck.
One in the trenches. Well, why are we paying you to say that? Well, because it's true. It's always true.
Yeah, which is why I think that, and this is more symptomatic of our business. I kind of like the retrospective, looking back stuff that we can provide, but it's always pushing it forward, right? Like, it's always. I did it jokingly. This is sort of semi-related, but I did it last week. Brandon Ayuk for 38 days, every single day. What's happening with Brandon? What's happening? Deal gets done. We talk about it for like 2 minutes on the show, and then they're like, okay, moving on to Jamar Chase. And I said it reminded me of the end of the Truman Show, where, everybody's so invested in Truman and what he's doing, and I won't try. I was yelled at for giving a spoiler for a 25-year-old movie somehow. They have this big ending with and then they go, okay, let's see what else is on TV. And the two security guards sitting on it. Let's see what else is on. That's kind of it's always pushing it forward. But, we've got enough people in our business that are really good at breaking things down and saying, here's why, and a lot of times, this is also the funny part to me. On Sunday, I'll never understand the guy who gets blitzed at a tailgate, right? Like, you pay so much money.
I don't get it.
For the ticket, and then you don't remember half of what happened because you were just guys. There's one guy who this is in Philly, a friend of mine. there's this guy who he's first in line because he wants the best spot for the tailgate, and he does every single home game. He does a tailgate. He's got like this van, whatever that he sets up, and he's legendary for his tailgates. By the second quarter of the game, he's in his seat, and they take a picture of him. He's in his seat like this because he's been up since 2 a.m. And it's like, dude, what's the point if you're not making it to the game? And anyway, it's so intricate, and yet you're it's like I don't like to drink. I wind up doing it anyway. I don't like to drink when I play golf because we're talking about fractions of centimeters, and don't we want to be exact with what we're doing? Anyway.
There's always a line I cross when I play golf. Like, I'll have one or two, and then I cross it, and then I'm like, oh, there's a hosel rocket here, there's a worm burner there, and it's just man. And then I'm like, well, round's over, cart girl, let's go, round it up. Let's
at
go
that
on.
point,
yeah,
it's on.
All right. So, with all that being said, what are your keys to the game tonight?
It's going to be one in the trenches. I really believe that. I'm looking forward to this game, though, because
of course you are. It's awesome. What a great start to the season.
I know. And I'll give you an intangible. How about that? My understanding is that John Harbaugh has been treating this game like the Super Bowl, right? Like he is steaming from losing that game last postseason, and understands the importance of. And I think it was a launching pad of sorts for the Lions when they were able to upset the Chiefs in Week 1. It probably means less to the Chiefs because they understand it's a long game and it really matters. You're playing your best football in January. But I think it's important for the Ravens to exercise the demons and to also get off to a great start and feel good about yourselves early in the season. So that's my key to the game. The John Harbaugh really ratcheting up the intensity, the pressure, whatever you want to call it, on his guys to come out and perform as if this was a playoff game in Week 1.
Yeah. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. Over, under, how many shots we see of her tonight?
Oh, God.
10?
Well, they had three in the NFL hype video. Was it 3 or 4?
Oh, God, really?
You didn't see that? Yeah, the NFL put out their – yeah, hey, the season is here. Here's what last season was like. And it was like September, October, November. And she's like, there she is in October. There she is in November. There she is. So I think it was either 3 or 4 showings of her in that video. So what's the over-under? 5.5? 6?
Okay. What do you think America's most annoyed with, as we start football season? Is it Taylor Swift or is it Kirk Herbstreit's dog?
I don't know. I've seen that come across my timeline, and I just don't have what's going on with the dog? What are people pissed about there?
He brings the dog to every game.
I know.
And people
that's not new, though. We knew that. What's the problem now?
It upsets people that the dog's in the studio, that the dog's in the broadcast booth.
You know what upset me? Dog took a shit on my pavement over there. And the dude, and I did, at the time I saw him clean. I was sitting, no, he did.
Okay.
But it was a little watery. And so I saw him from here picking it up earlier, and I was like, oh, good. And I almost said thank you. I was just tied up. I didn't get it. And then when I came out, there was still that little, and I could see people have stepped in it, and I got feet along the way. So that's what, I mean, other than that, you can do what you want with your dog as long as he's not doing that on my.
As a dog owner, let me just tell you from a dog owner, that's the worst one because there's nothing we can do about it. The solid ones, easy pickup. But when it's that, you're shit out of luck. You can't get it all. And literally. So then what I try to do, I try to put grass on it or just something, and I feel bad. One time it happened to my wife, and my dog our dogs went everywhere, and it was just like a fire hose. And this guy, he's like, "You gonna get all that?" She's like, I can't. Like, do you have a hose? He's like, no. It's the worst. It's the worst. That's one of the worst things about being a dog owner is that when that happens. So. And I would imagine in the city would be much worse. Hey, let's get to some football. Last time we talked, you're like, hey, I know Smith's Camps reached out to the Seahawks. And then that got a little fire. So I head on vacation and just kind of watch that all kind of firestorm develop.
Wait. People are watching this?
Yeah, my mom watches.
And she tweeted it, and then everybody else saw it. Yeah.
And then everybody at the old age home retweeted it. But yeah,
there you go.
But yeah, it got picked up a lot of places, and I think you saw some shift in Geno Smith's social media account. People read into that, and then I know what John Schneider came out and said. Hey, listen, there was no formal talks. You never said there was formal talks, and you never said that they were working on a deal. You just said, hey, his group reached out and talked about it, and it's probably it was a non-starter. I would assume that kind of remains the same here on the eve of on the start of the season.
Yeah. What are formal talks? Is that when everyone's dressed in a tuxedo? Is that what? I know. I do that. My wife likes to use super, right? She's like, I am super angry. So that's angry with a cape, right? Is that what super angry is?
I would agree with you.
That's God telling me not to talk badly about my wife.
Don't do it.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. So he's gonna play out the season. He's making good money. It's not like he's making bad money. I mean,
right.
It's just comparatively to other quarterbacks, and I'm sure he feels there's been a lot of pro Geno stuff that I've seen online. Like, I got to stop saying Twitter. X. Such a weird name for the app.
Call it Twitter. I don't like calling it X. X sounds dumb.
But it's not Twitter, so I'm torn because I like accuracy, and I like that people who own it have made the decision for what it's supposed to be called. It's a terrible name. He's made a lot of smart business decisions elsewhere.
Well, now he's doing TV. Did you see this? He's launching like XTV.
Cool. Yeah. I like it. Oh, we never stay resting on your laurels. Right. But there's been a lot of pro Geno stuff. He's one of the best deep ball throwers in the league. He doesn't get enough credit for this and that and the other thing. I know he's feeling. You're always feeling that about yourself, right? If you're a professional athlete, you got a lot of pride. So I'm sure he's sitting there saying, look at the pay scale, look at where it is. So there's one thing that you can do about that, Geno. There's one thing more than anything you can do. Go out there and ball this year. Have your best year that you've had in recent years. And then have that conversation afterward. Plus it'll be it's a 3-year, next year will be the last year of the deal, if I'm not mistaken, right? If I got that correct in my head, then you've got a better chance. It's like Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase right now is making a push with 2 years left. Teams feel a lot more pressure when there's 1 year left, which isn't to say that it can't be done. But a lot of times they'll say, well, you've got 2 years left. We've got to structure it a certain way, and we've got to hit a certain number. You can't just go right to the threat of free agency because you're not there yet. Well, in Geno Smith's case, he'll be closer to that after this upcoming season.
Yeah. All right. So, but just to clarify, it wasn't, hey, they are in contract talks, because I know there were some people that picked it up like, oh, and that you've been in the business long enough, and they're like, oh, the Seahawks. Garafolo was reporting the Seahawks and Geno Smith are in contract talks.
Did somebody say that? Because, that's not what we said here.
Yeah, but that's how it gets picked up, and how it goes from one source to another source to another source. And
I had one recently because it seems to be getting worse. So now you hit on something. Yeah. Recently, I did a GMFB report in the morning the day after they had cut down to 53, all the teams, and I said, this was the point at which Brandon Ayuk, he had the holdout, the Niners allowed it. Yeah. This was the point at which he was expected to practice. Now we'll see if in other words, like I was saying, the team said, we'll allow for this holdout, but once we get down to 53, that's the regular season, then it's time to practice. Was picked up, and Mike Garafolo reporting Brandon Ayuk is expected to practice today. It's not what I said. You took the same words, you moved them around, and I didn't spend the time like going through each. People are going to hear what they're going to hear. It is what it is. But I appreciate you at least acknowledging that. Yeah. It
is what it with the territory. There was some. I mean, Bob Condotta wrote about it Seattle Times, but did it accurately. Just said, hey, listen, it's his camp reached out, and Mike just said talks didn't really go anywhere, and that's exactly what you said. But it was a good little bump for you. You need to get your spirits picked up a little bit. So I'm glad that we can help you out with that. Hey, before we get into games, and I want some injury updates on the Seahawks, see if you have any more information on guys that may or may not play this week. I am listen, I got a journalism degree. I went to journalism school. I mean, I didn't really use it. I guess we're in sports media, but this isn't journalism, what I'm doing. But I'm fascinated by this story of this Washington Commanders guy who got fired.
Oh my God.
This thing, first of all, I have never heard of an undercover reporter. So this, for people who don't know the story, this guy.
No, I've seen that. Like 2020
An undercover
used to do
reporter?
that. 2020. I remember one of the great segments I saw in 2020 one time was they were taking these real diamonds into I believe they were in New York, into the diamond district, and saying, "Hey, can you reset this diamond?" And it would be a high quality diamond, and they would get the ring back with a different diamond in it, and they knew because they had engraved it. And the reporter would go in, you'd see like the camera, the glasses camera back then, which by the way is roughly the same quality as it is now. Over 40 years, we haven't gotten better at the eyeglass camera.
Yeah.
And so I've seen that before. That part to me is fine. That's totally fine. But go ahead, I want to hear your take on it.
Well, but I mean, okay. So is his name Rail Intine? Is that?
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so he's the Washington's vice president of content. So he thinks he's met a girl, a woman on a dating app called Hinge, and he goes out with her a couple of times. And in the process of going out with her, she's pressing him on questions about the league and NFL, and then he just spills his guts about how half the league is anti-gay, Jerry Jones is a racist, Roger Goodell is a $50 million puppet. He's going off on all this. He calls fans. This is my favorite part. Because I have a buddy who calls people this. He calls most NFL fans mouth breathers. It's my favorite part.
That's a pretty good put down, right? Like that's
when you want to call somebody a mouth breather,
because you're making it like you're so dumb that you can't breathe through your nose. Like that's a pretty good when you want to get under somebody's skin.
So it turns out the woman, not on a dating app, but she works for a group called the O'Keefe Media Group, and she's an undercover reporter. Okay, so you bring up the 2020 stuff, and I guess, okay, now that rings a bell. But this thing, like, he thinks he's going out on a date.
Way different than I went into a jewelry store that is conducting business with the general public, and I need to let them know that there's bad business being conducted here, right? Like, that's a public, not safety, but a public issue. This different. Now, go ahead, because I think you have an opinion on whether or not he should.
Well, I just okay. Wait, I think this guy got railroaded. I think it's horrible that he lost his job. I think it's terrible.
No,
I get why he lost his job. I mean, listen, this stuff comes out. There was no way he was going to keep his job. I get that. Right. I think it's terrible that he lost his job.
I would say it sucks because he was misrepresented in certain ways. I get that part of it, but what he said, like, there's no justification for it. There's no defending it. He's fired. No problem. Right.
Mike, what if you met somebody on the road at a bar and they just start talking to you? Hey, Mike Garafolo, I recognize you on TV, but hey, that's cool. And
I'm always on guard. I mean, I am. I don't know. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world. And I've done dumb things, but that just is something that I always on. Not because I think they got a camera in their glasses, but because they could say Mike said this, right? If you've got it on camera, obviously that's you no, I didn't.
What about if the person pretends not to know you, or it's just like, oh, what do you do? And then because you don't want to talk about what you do. I don't know. You've probably lied before. Oh, I'm a school teacher.
At some point, I've yelled at enough people in traffic while driving that my wife has been like, you don't know if they know you. Like, you don't know. And I'm like,
can I ask you a quick question? Sidebar question.
Yeah.
Because I had a road rage incident yesterday. When you get into road rage, favorite word, do we go the double bird, single bird? What do we do?
I like the one out the window where you keep driving, right? And they're behind you. Because it's like, I couldn't even be bothered to slow down and get you right in the eyes. Now, if I pass you, I'll stop long enough to get the eye contact.
You do the glare. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So back to this, though, because I do have thoughts. Why this guy? Like, imagine being the editor or the head of the news department or whatever, and they come back and they go, we got him! Commanders, we got him! Dan Snyder? No, not Dan Snyder, the VP of content.
No one's ever heard of him.
Like, who's next? The media relations guy? Yeah, it was a weird. Why? And I don't. Maybe it's been explained why him, because my point is, it flows downhill. The saying, it flows downhill.
Yeah.
This is like lower third of the hill here. It's not the owner. It's not the head coach. It's not the GM. It's not the okay. He's fired down there. Like I'm not looking down at him, but it's such a weird time. And like we got you. Like you got who? His views do not represent the entire organization. Now Josh Harris, that would represent the entire organization. Like what are you going after here?
I think they're going after the league. Don't you think? They wanted someone who works in the league. But they wanted someone who works in the league.
I think I'm crazy, by the way. I got the window open.
Yeah. To say, hey, give him the bird.
Yeah.
I think they wanted someone in the league to say the unspoken, which with what he said is, I guarantee a lot of people think.
Okay. You know how many employees there are of the NFL and NFL teams? Okay, like hundreds of, I don't know,
yeah.
Thousands. We'll go thousands. I don't know if it's hundreds of that. Thousands. You're going to find one at some point that's going to say something like, it's not, he spoke about Goodell. You get Goodell on camera doing that, and we can talk O'Keefe Media. Like, it's just the weirdest. O'Keefe Media? Is that what they were called?
Yeah.
And also, when she's talking to him, we have the benefit of knowing, right?
Yeah.
She's so clearly interviewing him. She's not on a date. Like, the way she's asking the questions, it's like, at some point, the alarm bell's got to go off, doesn't it? I don't know.
He was a village idiot. She probably have we seen pictures of her?
Dude.
No, I'm just asking. I don't know. Just wonder if we've seen pictures of her. Because I mean, he probably just was. She's probably good looking. He was just like, I'll answer anything you want to say. But
he obviously was liking her for whatever reason. Maybe he thought, boy, she's really interested in me.
She really is asking a lot of questions. Why does she keep? What's underneath that napkin, and why does she keep slipping like it closer to me?
Why is she leaning this way every time I talk? And
It's just. But my favorite part is him calling. Most fans are high school educated alcoholics and mouth breathers.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly, and I'm not just playing to the audience. I know a lot of knowledgeable, genuine, thoughtful. What's the word I'm looking for?
Of course, they're good fans.
Not collegial. What's the word I'm looking for when you have nice interactions with people? It's amazing how many people are. I was at so we did a run last week in Belmar, New Jersey, and it was a 5-mile run, and then you go to the bar and you drink back all the calories that you just burned.
Fun.
And the people were so great. And I was like, oh, Jet or Giant? And I got so many like Packers, Cowboys. I was like, wow, okay, this is a very diverse. But the people were great, and it made me excited for the season. And listen, you tell an NFL fan, enjoy the season. They love that. They enjoy the season because this is Christmas Day today, Christmas night.
Of course. Did you see the thing on social media? I mean, there's so much that happens. There was the guy.
The thing on social media?
The thing. There was a video. Guy's so good. I wish I had it. I'll play it for you next week. The guy gave his he's probably late 20s, married couple. He gave his wife a letter that she had to read, and it was basically him saying, hey, the last 7 months have been great. We've spent so much time together. It's great. I'm just letting you know right now. I'm formally letting you know. He wrote it like almost like a formal letter. I'm formally announcing that starting on Thursday, September 5th, I will be unreachable until the end of the season. He recorded it and she read it out loud. It's really good. Really good.
Now, I probably have more, like it's my profession. It helps pay the bills. So I probably have more of a reason or excuse to do something like that. She would still kick me in places that are very sensitive.
All right, let me get to the some Seahawks news and notes. What do we know about Uchenna Nwosu? How obviously he's on the PUP, so or on the IR, so they felt that he could come back sooner rather than later. But what's do we know a target date? Hopefully that he could be back.
It sounds like it sounds like he's doing pretty well. It sounds like the first couple of weeks of the season here. He did not practice officially yesterday, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So unless he makes some kind quick recovery here. It doesn't seem like he's on track to play this week, but I know they're encouraged by his progress. So that's good because he's a big part of what they do.
Yeah. Okay. What about Abe Lucas? You know, I remember when we were doing the draft show live, and you ended up getting a text from his agent during the draft show, and it's
not about him, about something else, and just, hey, by the way, well, I got you right.
And he had not. He said at that time he had the knee surgery, but he was going to be ready for camp, and everything would be fine. I think is what he said, something to that degree.
No, did he? I don't know. What he said. So no, he didn't say he'd be ready for camp, did he?
I thought he did. I thought he said he'd be ready for training camp.
I thought he said he was going to participate in camp, not necessarily for the start of training camp or something like that.
Is there a worry? What do you, if you know anything? Is there a worry he's not available at all? That this could be career ending?
No. From my understanding, is it the first 5 weeks? I forget what
4.
What PUP is. 4 weeks. What's 5? I feel like 5 is something. No, my understanding is right around that time of activation. The hope is that he's going to be ready or working, at least getting back to practice and working his way back at that point. So that is early to. I wouldn't even say mid, but early part of the season is my understanding for when he's expected to be back. Hopefully, the positivity on this one comes to fruition because they did. I mean, at the very least, I don't know if I said beginning of training camp, but I do remember the expectation that he would be participating in camp, and it seems like they're taking the cautious approach for him because of what he means and how arduous that recovery is.
The situation with the 49ers, they resolved it finally. I mean, my God, that Ayuk story was just up and down, roller coaster, in, out, traded, not. Then they get Trent Williams done as well. Where do they find all the money? Like, I mean, where does it come from? I always feel they're against the cap, and yet they're signing guys left and right every year.
It's going to change next year. They have to do Brock Purdy's deal. I mean, we've seen this with a number of teams when the Eagles had Jalen Hurts and even Carson Wentz. When they had them on their rookie deals, they were able to get aggressive and do a lot more things than people kept saying about the Eagles. How are they finding all that money? They're not really saying that anymore about Philadelphia. So that veteran deal where you get into the $50 million plus range to sign a quarterback changes things. I mean, you'll hear me say it all the time. It's not that the salary cap is fake. Yeah, but it's manipulate. You're able to manipulate it. I don't know what word I was going.
Manipulative.
You're able manipulate. No, it's not manipulative. Manipulable.
Okay. God.
So anyway,
good for you.
You're able to get as flexible as you want to be. And I mean, every year you got the Saints, the Cowboys to a certain degree are always redoing deals in March to get under the salary cap because they've pushed all this out in the future. So you can do a lot of that. Some teams don't like to do that. Say, hey, we don't want to have to play that game. We can still accomplish what we want to accomplish. And the bottom line is it comes down to cash. Cash is the biggest thing for ownership when you talk to those guys because ownership's got to sign off on these things. So they want to know how much money am I actually spending? Yes, you have to stay under the salary cap, and there are certain gymnastics that you've got to play. But really, a lot of times it comes down to cash. So when they're spending next year $100 million in a calendar year on Brock Purdy, that's going to change their ability to do some of this other stuff.
Yeah. Latest with Ja'Marr Chase.
I know that there's been confidence on the part of the team that they were getting close and something was going to get done. And I have said over the last – when he pulled himself out of practice, I said, I know where this is going. On Saturday – and we've already seen a couple of them this week, but a lot of times Saturday, right before week 1, you get a bunch of contract extensions done because that is the last point that a player can do a deal before setting foot on the playing field for the upcoming season. You can do a deal week 2, week 3, week 5. There's nothing that says you can't. But a lot of times guys going into the last year, and Chase is not going into the last year, but a lot of times going into the last year, they'll say, all right, let's get the best number we possibly can because I don't want to play a game and suffer a knee injury, and now all of a sudden my free agent year is up in smoke. And for the team, let's get this guy done now before he goes out and has a career year, and then we got to pay him even more in the postseason. So I think I would say Ja'Marr Chase, if my knee-jerk reaction, and I've got a little bit of reporting, but this is not a report. This is more a feel like Saturday's the day where that gets done.
Okay, Saturday that gets done. Hassan Reddick, is going to play or what?
It doesn't sound like it, no. I mean, it sounds like he's willing to carry this. Somebody before the start of training camp, I was asking if he was going to report, and somebody close to him said, I don't know. He's deciding, but he's serious about his money. And I was like, okay, yeah, we're all serious about our money. Right, what is that? Hassan Reddick is serious about his money. I don't know what's being gained here. He's going to lose a ton of money in fines in the end. Like Trent Williams lost a bunch of money. I'm like, why didn't Trent just go to camp and do the hold-in thing, right? And just spare yourself the fines. And, Ian said to me, well, maybe he didn't want to go to camp. Well, they would have given him days off. He's Trent Williams. They would have given him days off. I don't know. And I think there's blood on the hands on both sides here, okay? The Jets should have had the deal done before. As a matter of fact, they traded from the Eagles, and I know Howie Roseman, like, we're not doing this deal unless we have agreed to it. They did that with A.J. Brown. For some reason, the Jets were like, we'll figure it out. It sounds like we're close enough. We'll figure it out later. And then on Reddick's part, he should have said, no. We're not doing a trade, until I have a deal done. I'm not going to go take because he went and took the physical, and he finalized the trade. He could have said, I am not going for a physical. You can do the deal. You can agree to it, but I'm not going to I have that power. He probably should have done that, and he did.
Ricky Pearsall, when he comes back, would he be eligible? He's not. When do you think he'll play again, if at all? Do you think he plays at all?
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, it does sound like it.
What a scary. My God,
it's just like, and this is where it's not phony. Like the thought of football at this point is because you're talking about not even inches, probably like millimeters difference from where that bullet hits.
When it was chest through his back.
It's nuts. It's nuts. It's nuts.
That's
nuts.
That's scary. Scary stuff there for Ricky Pearsall.
And this is they tell the players all the time, you're a target, especially when you're wearing watches and and look, you should be able to wear the watch. Okay, you earned it. Yeah. All right. And I don't know, did we have a picture of the watch? Was it studded, diamond stud? I mean, I know it was a Rolex from what I saw, but you earned that. You earned the right to do that, young man. But to have that right attempted to be taken away from you is just as frustrating as it gets. So,
in honor of Jim Moore, do the Chiefs win by more than 4 tonight, or more than 3?
I said to you earlier that John Harbaugh is treating this like the Super Bowl, and that could be a good thing, right? Like that could be. And by the way, if this gets back to the Ravens and John, it's not the Super Bowl. I know that John Harbaugh has communicated to his guys the importance of winning this game. Guys that have been around him before are seeing the importance of the game, certainly. So I almost wonder, though, if that's going to be a detriment, right? Like, because I remember the Panthers-Broncos Week 1 Super Bowl rematch. Ron Rivera, because they had a bad season that year. I forget their final record, but Rivera said, we poured so much into Week 1, and they wound up losing in a last-second field goal or something like that. We poured so much in Week 1 that it had an effect on us early in the season, and that affected our entire season. So I don't think it's one of those type things, but I do wonder. I'll call a close game here. I'll call a field goal game either way. I think they hang in there. I just feel like there's enough talent and experience on Baltimore's side that there's no way to get their doors blown off tonight. But I've been wrong before.
It's going to be fun. We're all wrong. It's going to be fun before. All right. Don't flip anybody off today, and keep it safe there on the roads. In the road rage incident they had the other day, the guy called me the C word. I'm like,
oh,
what'd you do? Why would you? Because I honked at him. He wasn't. I was letting all these people out, but now it was my turn to go, and then I wasn't going to let a third car go out, so I'm going. And then he jumped in and I honked at him. I said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, you can't do that.
Who calls another guy the C word?
That's
what I told him. I said, "What are you doing? Like, come on, say something else but that."
One of my pet peeves is here in Hoboken, we don't have 4-way stop signs. We got 2-way stop signs. So one side has the stop sign, the other one doesn't. So when you're on the road that doesn't have the stop sign, and you got a guy who does, you go, right? You have the right of way.
Sure.
But sometimes you'll have somebody crossing the street that way. So you let them go. So I give go ahead, cross the street. And then you do that, and the guy with the stop sign starts creeping out to make the left turn. It's like, no. That wasn't for you. That was for her. And, it doesn't give you the right of way. We still have to both wait at that point. Like, who are you?
That's when you go out the window with it.
That's the
You
bird.
drive,
Actually,
you
yesterday, so I was at a light, and my neighbor was walking her dog, and she was I was making a left turn, and so she was coming straight. I'm like, oh, she's about to cross the street. Now, she didn't cross the street, and once she didn't, I was ready to hit the gas. But at that point, the guy behind, and I'm like, the light just turned green, and I am not going to hit my neighbor. I think I may have thrown a bird
That's good.
out the window.
You're the best. We do it next week. We do it live. I love it. Have fun tonight and have a great first weekend there of the NFL schedule. Mike Garafolo, NFL Insider here on the NFL Network. Insiders air. Give us the times tonight. Every single day at what time?
No, so Pelissero literally just tweeted this, and he's yelling at it. He X'd it. And he's asking us to retweet it. So Mondays and Thursdays. So we're Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. This is getting.
No, I got
Tuesday,
you.
Wednesday, Friday, 4:00 p.m. your time, 7:00 Eastern.
Okay.
But Monday and Thursday there are pregame shows on the network. So we're gonna move it to YouTube and to streaming. So the Insiders is returning to the NFL channel on Fast, free ad-supported TV. Fast programs tonight. Join us every Thursday all season at 6 p.m. Eastern. I forget what time Monday is. Monday's going to be a YouTube show that I think we tape at 4 and it's posted at 5, but don't hold me to that one.
What's Thursday? What's
By
Thursday?
the way, Jim's rant about YouTube Plus, YouTube this, YouTube that. God bless that man.
That was the best. He just lost his mind. He's right though. There's just too much. It's too much going on.
I was impressed. I didn't know he had that mouth on him.
He did.
God bless him.
All right, you're the
Love
best.
you, Jim.
We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Mike.
See you, buddy.